Praise and glory to you, my Lord and my God. I don't believe those who shout, Free Palestine, Free Palestine. Just as I didn't believe those who pretended to fight for the environment, and then allowed the devastation of Rome's territory by cutting down an impressive number of healthy trees. I don't believe these people who now side with subjects linked to a bloodthirsty religion. I don't believe in the Italians who claim to be champions of freedom, yet remain silent in the face of the extermination of poor Christians in Syria, well documented, though we cannot share it because of censorship. Many of these Italians have the audacity to post signs on their shops reading, "No entry for Jews," but they don't have the courage to write on our flag, "No entry into Italy for terrorists, robbers, rapists, and followers of a bloodthirsty religion." That's why I don't believe in these fake causes. Because massacres are always massacres. There are no better or worse deaths depending on the side. Those killed by violence are all dead, and they deserve compassion and respect. As for the start of hostilities, many of those shouting Free Palestine forget, or pretend to forget, that those they now defend were the first to open hostilities, openly asking Hitler to ally with them. All of this is documented by historical testimonies available on the web. I'm not making anything up. I will now create a full report to spread what I've discovered, complete with photos. Because the web has a big flaw, but also a great strength, it remembers. And no one will be able to say that those images and documents are fabrications. They are historical facts, documented for those who truly seek the truth. You cannot defend just one side and always accuse the other. Many of the good thinkers, if they had seen with their own eyes what their darlings did on October 7th, against innocent people, women, children, families, and even animals, might change their minds, and probably react even more violently than the Jews themselves in the face of such atrocities. Videos are available online, and on Telegram there are horrifying scenes. Be prepared, before speaking recklessly and offending a people who, despite their mistakes, are simply reacting to a ruthless attack. Because you cannot respond to one act of brutal violence with another, but the truth must be told, always. I conclude by stating that the Jewish Holy Book does not command the destruction of the Arab or Muslim people. Nowhere is this written. But in the book written by that man who married little girls and committed massacres in the name of his God, there is a command to exterminate the Jews. Let me quote the passage. Hadith Sahih Muslim 2922, or 6985, depending on the numbering. The hour of judgment will not come until the Muslims fight the Jews and kill them, until the Jew hides behind a stone or a tree, and the stone or tree says, "O Muslim servant of Allah, there is a Jew behind me, come and kill him." So instead of asking for a free Palestine, you should ask these people to change their mindset, to renounce their unjust and bloodthirsty God, and instead seek peace between these two peoples. But for this to happen, the Jews must open their hearts more, and the Palestinians must renounce the bloodthirsty creed that will lead them to self-destruction. Do not forget that there is a divine destiny over Israel. Even though the people has been punished by God many times, because they betrayed God in various ways, even going so far as to kill his son, there is still always the grace of God the Father over this people, which has never been taken away. They are children of grace, not children of the slave. The various leaderships that have successively led the Palestinians all have a dark side, which continues to weigh on their decisions and political credibility, as none of them has ever wanted to come to terms with recent history and take a new path, breaking with the past. The training of children in summer camps in guerrilla and terrorism against Jews is just the latest, but significant demonstration of the Palestinian society's inability to attempt even a minimal change of course, to get out of the eternal, pointless war against the Israelis. To understand the vicious, repetitive cycle that, like a nightmare, always reenacts the same events, it is necessary to rewind the tape of history, to try to understand the loop in which Palestinian politics is trapped. Europeans were quick to forget that the Palestinians first burst onto the European political scene thanks to Amin al-Husseini, Grand Mufti of Jerusalem. It was 1938 when British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain, along with other Western powers, granted Adolf Hitler a piece of Czechoslovakia in exchange for an illusory peace. In the same year, the ideological and military foundations for an Islamic Nazi alliance were laid, officially sanctioned by a declaration from al-Husseini, who stated plainly that, with the Führer, we have a common enemy, the English, the Jews, and the Bolsheviks. On the other hand, Hitler, in his book Ideas on the Destiny of the World, had already expressed his sympathy for Islam, writing, "If at Poitiers, Charles Martel had been defeated, the world would have changed its face. Since the world was already condemned to Jewish influence, and its product, Christianity, is such a bland thing, it would have been better if Islam had triumphed. This religion rewards heroism, promises warriors the joys of the seventh heaven. Animated by such a spirit, the Germans would have conquered the world. They were prevented by Christianity. This is how Hitler praised Islam. In the 10 years before this alliance, which lasted until the end of the Reich, al-Husseini had distinguished himself for his preaching in Palestine, where he incited Arabs to take up arms to massacre all Jews. He was one of the strongest supporters of the final solution, spending enormous effort to sabotage negotiations between the Allies and the Nazis for the release of German prisoners in exchange for the escape of 4,000 Jewish children to Palestine, otherwise destined for the crematoriums. In the name of the alliance with Hitler and of anti-Semitism, he recruited over 300,000 Muslims into the ranks of the Nazi army, including over 30,000 Palestinians who were all trained and indoctrinated in camps built specifically near Hamburg. Benito Mussolini was no better. On October 10, 1941, al-Husseini went to Rome to advocate his cause, obtaining from the Duce the formation of a military group, which became part of the Military Center, later the Formation Group, where stands for Arabs, established on May 1, 1942, under Major Ugo Donati. It was the first nucleus of the Military Centers Group, one of the foreign units of the Italian Royal Army. At its peak, the unit had 110 Arab and Palestinian volunteers, and was sent to North Africa to reinforce Axis forces. After military defeats in Africa, the survivors supported the Italian Social Republic of Salo. In Italy, toward the end of World War II, the Palestinians distinguished themselves in several operations against the partisans. In Emilia, they were the terror of the population, who called them the Mujahideen. They operated mostly in the Apennines of Parma, Reggio, and Modena. On January 10, 1945, a group of Nazis, though the uniforms concealed Palestinians and Croatians, clashed with a group of partisans from the 31st Garibaldi Brigade, joined by some soldiers who had deserted from Verano Meligari. The Mujahideen prevailed, and after a day of fighting, all the partisans were killed. This was followed by raids, looting and summary executions, especially between Scandiano and Biso. For this, as for other massacres, no Palestinian figure has ever apologized. And the Italians were quick to forget, and now, alongside the terrorists, they shout "Free Palestine." After the war, al-Husseini fled to Switzerland but was arrested and placed under house arrest in France, from which he escaped to Egypt, where he was granted asylum. Many appealed in vain to Britain to indict him as a war criminal, but the British did not agree, not wanting to increase their problems in Egypt and Palestine, where al-Husseini was very popular. Yugoslavia also unsuccessfully requested his extradition. The Anglo-American Committee of Inquiry's report, dated April 20, 1946, stated that al-Husseini's active support for the Axis had not cost him his following and that he is today the most popular leader in Palestine. Thanks to this freedom, and the huge amount of money he had amassed, he organized the escape of many Nazi officers and leaders from Germany. Their documents were forged, their identities transformed into Jews fleeing persecution, and they were entrusted to Catholic organizations that helped them reach various Middle Eastern countries, where, thanks to a dense pro-Nazi network, they were hosted in Egypt. Anwar al-Sadat was a spy for the Nazis, in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and other Arab countries. Among the many who escaped the Nuremberg tribunal, we must not forget Alois Brunner, an SS officer who fled to Syria, where Hafiz al-Assad appointed him head of the Internal Security Services, where he taught how to torture political prisoners. He died in Damascus in 2010, after France's unsuccessful attempts to extradite him, where he had been convicted for the murder of 30,000 French citizens. Most of the Nazi officers changed their names and religion, joining the founding of various neo-Nazi groups and parties that began to emerge throughout the Middle East after the war, such as the Ba'ath Party, which means resurrection. Many of the Palestinian veterans who had fought in the Nazi ranks in Europe and on the Russian front became part of a political network that settled into local administrations and institutions. From Egypt, where he built a strong friendship with Hassan al-Banna, theorist and founder of the terrorist organization the Muslim Brotherhood, al-Husseini was among the supporters of the 1948 war against the new state of Israel. During those years, because of their shared views, he took under his wing his nephew, Yasser Arafat, who succeeded him as a leading figure in the Middle Eastern scene, but also as one of the richest and most corrupt men in the world until his mysterious death in 2004. Al-Husseini was known for spreading anti-Semitic ideas, drawing mainly from Western literature, such as the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which is still the most read book in the Arabic language.